In Johannesburg, I found an organization called Children of Fire. And every time I'm in Johannesburg, it's the place I volunteer. A woman from the UK started it about 27 years ago and has helped over 500 children. And it's children that have been burnt, usually in shacks in their villages or small communities, that as they were babies, they either knocked over boiling water that's being cooked on charcoal and wood, like in pots very low to the ground, or paraffin, which is the fuel, and they use it to cook with also, and there'll be explosions in these little shacks. And as they grow, the scar tissue doesn't grow with them, and they need to have surgery. They'll cut it and they'll put expanders or they'll release it so that they can grow into it. And many of them have had their fingers burnt off, and so they'll have a surgery that will make some type of a feeling. If they've got enough space there, that they'll cut so that at least if there can be movements. I volunteer there several days a week, and I teach, I cook, I drive them to the hospital for appointments with doctors, whatever is needed. We had a small amount of kids at the time. I went back and forth. It's 10 minutes from where I live. The woman came from the UK with her husband, who was a journalist, and she was a journalist as well, but they came for his job 27 years ago to South Africa for him to work. They had their own child. They were in a hospital for some reason, and she sees this little 3-year-old in the hallway, completely burnt. Eyes are burnt, her ears are burnt. She's blind. She's 3. She's sitting in the hallway, and this woman, whose name is Bronwen, was just, what is going on with this child? But well, what type of help is she going to get? What's going on? The doctor said, look, she has no parents. She's here. We're going to get to her whenever we can. If you want to help her so much, why don't you take her? And she did. She adopted her at 3. And this girl is now 26 years old, and she lives with her full time. But that was the beginning. And that's when she realized that these kids are left out, many of them. And so in time, she just started, she knows more about some of these surgeries than doctors do. And so they're local doctors. It's mostly government hospitals, but she's worked with them for years, and she can tell the new ones how to do these surgery, even though she has no medical background. She is self-taught learning, sitting in on these surgeries. Again, it's Africa. It's not like, "Ooh, you can't be in here." She'd have to be completely garbed, but she can actually help, and she can tell them the right ways to do things and the right medications to help scar tissue. And she knows everything there is about burned children at this point. And she has had kids from Congo, from Mozambique, but for the most part, they're South Africans. So that's why they get free care in the government hospital. But she gets them to, because in the villages, there's nobody to do that. There's no plastic surgeons in these villages. So the kids will come and stay with her until they've had the treatment, they've had the surgical process, they've gotten compression garments made, because you need these compression garments to help with the scar tissue as well. She will get all this done, and then they'll go back home until they need the next procedure. And then she also has a school there, because elementary schools won't take the burned kids. So she set up a little school that also helps blind children, because there's no blind school there. And because so many burned kids have lost sight in one eye or both eyes at times, she set up where they actually teach Braille, and it's an accredited school that's a block away. It's amazing. They're resilient. For the most part, there'll be times, especially when some are moving on to going to regular schools, that creates stress, because they're always looked at. These most are very severely burned. Some not. Some it'll just be a little part, or some it'll be a hand or whatever. But many of them, they're very burnt, and so they've learned from the time they're cognizant, for the most part, that they're going to be stared at. And in the village, if you're in a small village, everybody knows what you look like, and you're going to be different to it. But you come to the city, that people will stare, but they're used to it. They're resilient. They're happy. They're just like little kids. They love Spider-Man. They love TV. They love going to the movies. They love candy. They love playing. They're very resilient, and just like kids, except they have to, when they're with us, they've got to go have medical treatment, and many times they just know there's going to be pain involved, because they've got to have another surgical process. So it's hard, but that's amazing. The way this operates, I'm the driver, and besides the founder. So I'll take her car and I'll take kids to appointments, but I always take an employee who is local, and we need them to help us, because they can be difficult, just like it's red tape, and They'll sometimes there's perception that she shouldn't be helping all these kids and that why she's British, why is this white foreigner coming in to try to fix everything? And so you just never know what attitude. Some are just so thrilled that she's doing this work, they'll do anything to help. It's there's a lot of different attitudes in South Africa since apartheid. And even though it's been 30 something years, there's anger still. And so you just never know. So sometimes I'm a real help and sometimes I just know I stay totally quiet and I'm just the driver that is helping out and they'll talk to the employee.